campaigning, as you're leading, are people coming out that you were not expecting? So the question is basically, how are you going to lead, and how are you going to counter that incessant, constant, like just unmovable left? How are you going to, fight that? And then are you finding, another thing that came to mind as Madison was talking, are you finding people come out of the woodworks, like unlikely allies or people that are supporting you that might be able to help you to do that work that you weren't expecting or anticipating before?
Yeah, you cannot compromise on these issues because they're fundamental to the founding documents of our country. We have to hold the line, and I have made that very clear in my messaging, my activism. Every time I speak at a school board meeting, I they accuse me and everyone who disagrees with them of being radicals, but really they're projecting because they've moved the goalposts so far to the figurative left that anything that doesn't completely align with whatever their messaging is for that day is inherently super far right wing. And the labeling really does put people into those silos where they can no longer think for themselves. Madison, what you guys have done, what Chino Valley has done, instituting the parental notification, the flag policies, and also definitely the supplemental material. That is where the rubber meets the road, because we've had many issues in our district where we have been lucky, maybe blessed, to find out information about supplemental material, things that have been taught in the classroom, such as we had a video shown to third graders, 8-year-olds, about, and it was a grown woman in this video talking to other 8-year-olds, and if she was talking about how she was aroused by Jodie Foster in the movie Nell, where she was nude.
Which video you're talking about?
Yeah,
yeah.
And I filed a PRA request with certain keywords that came back, and the district was supporting her. They were enabling her. They were giving her more information and material to share with the kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they didn't. Nobody informed the principal. Nobody informed the parents. Only one parent even knew about it at the time, because she would just happen to walk by her child's Zoom class. But then we uncovered that, and we really started waking people up about a year and a half ago. Yeah. And if you don't know, Glendale is like 45, almost 50% Armenian. So the surprising,
I'm learning.
the surprising people that I have found in my community are Armenians from every political background that you could imagine. And I talk to far left Armenians who still value traditional families and that right to privacy, because ultimately their culture is very Christian. Yeah. And they have had to rely on the family unit through hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years of being infiltrated, attacked, targeted by all sorts of enemies. They're in a really unfortunate geographic area in geopolitics. And they have just been attacked their entire existence. And so their families are core, and nothing will supersede that for 95% of the Armenian population here in Glendale.
That's sorry to interrupt, but that's really interesting. Again, even on this panel, we were talking about Muslim, we're talking about this panel, I think was predominantly Catholic, but it wasn't a religious panel at all. But when we were talking about, Judaism and even Muslims, and I actually don't think it's a Christian value. We're talking about truth, right? We're talking about how do we navigate society? What does ethics mean anymore if we don't have these central tenets that are just like, this is true. I said that, a man has a penis, a woman has a vagina. I mean, no one wants to say that in a public forum, but if up is not up, if 2 + 2 does not equal 4 anymore, and it's literally driving people insane.
Yes.
People don't want to talk anymore, because like even a woman gave an example there as well, that she took her daughters to get their nails done, and there was a man there, and they have a brother, and the little brother always wants to come with them to get their nails done, and the mom was like, well, no, little boys don't get their nails done. This is how she chooses to raise her family. And then of course the girl saw this grown man there, and then she's like, but then I don't think it was a man. I think it was. So there's this whole thing, like it literally, and she goes, and I couldn't have the conversation because I'm, as an adult woman, didn't even know what was really going on. I don't know how to relate that to my 6 and my 4-year-old. And so like they've just really just blurred reality, that it's hard for even grown adults. Again, going back to that same concept a couple of minutes ago, it's like even grown adults don't know what's up and down or right and wrong, and so they don't say anything, and then these poor little kids are looking up to us, and we don't have anything to say. Imagine how they feel. I don't really know where that's coming from. But I actually don't think that these are Christian. They are Christian values, but this isn't unique to the Christian or the Catholic community. Like anyone who is living in truth and reality knows, just from a practical standpoint, a realistic standpoint, the strongest unit is the family unit. It takes villages to raise children. You're stronger. United, we stand, divided we fall. I mean, these are just realities. These are just truths that transcend generations and cultures and religions and different political affiliations. So I think that we are, and I actually think we're not going to go here, but I think that,
but let's do it, Nicole. Let's go.
I think a lot of
what?
things.
I can't hear you. I'm just kidding.
I think a lot of things that are happening globally are exactly because of the Million Mama marches that we were seeing across the globe, where Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus and Catholics and Jews were marching together in the streets, holding hands with their children. And I want to cry because we were so close. We were so close as a global community, as humanity, to really just upending anything that the World Economic Forum and the globalists agenda, like that is the worst thing that could happen to them, is all of us uniting to stand in the gap in the protection of children. And that's where we were. And then literally within 2 weeks of that, major world events happened. And I personally believe that was like, activate this conflict, activate one of the oldest
divide,
but one of the oldest, most painful, polarizing, biblical thousands and thousands of years of conflict. Like they had to activate the atomic bomb, because we were all marching in the streets in Canada, in Europe, here in the United States, across the globe together. And I just, there's something to be said about that. And I hope that our viewers and listeners can remember that, because we were there.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised. Speaking of globalism, like early on, I'll go back to Freire. He was a Brazilian Marxist. And when Brazil basically was overthrown, or there was a coup where the military took over for decades, right? They threw out all the Marxists who were at all affiliated with institutional power. So he ended up going to Chile, and the Rockefellers ended up funding him to attend the World Council of Churches, and then to make connections with elite universities like Harvard in the States. And they essentially propped this guy up, distributed his Marxist education, and redefined what it means to be an American, because Americanism is all about the individual. Liberalism is, as a philosophy, liberalism is all about protecting individual rights and freedom of privacy. And this, going back to what you said, Nicole, it's all inversion of truth through a linguistic manipulation. And you could call it like a spell almost, where the truth has been so warped that the language that we use is fundamentally thrown out the window. It's meaningless anymore. And in that vacuum inserts their agenda, which is, to destabilize youth one at a time in a collective sense, and, overtake institutions that we used to view as transparent and accountable.
When you guys think about this, when you just when you think like I'm not joking that I woke up at 2 in the morning thinking about these things. Um, do you use that to fuel your work? Do you feel overwhelmed? I mean, is it day to day? I mean, for me, it's, you know,
Yeah.
ebbs and flows. Like when you like that, what you just described, what we're talking about, and this is supposed to be an empowering show. It will be. We're going to give everybody tools, but it is important to understand where we're coming from. I mean, that is a lot. That is a heavy, heavy evil force that we are up against. I mean, I guess
I think Madison's going through more than I am right now.
yeah. And
I mean,
for those of you who
for
don't know,
me,
yeah, go ahead.
oh no, it's okay. For me, and just kind of to follow what you were hinting towards, for me, a lot of my fight, I feel, is for the kids who maybe have, you know, parents that are dual working, that can't be on top of their homework assignments. I'm so blessed to be able to be home with my kids and see what it is that they're learning, and, you know, read Socrates with them and memorize poems. But I know not everyone gets that opportunity. And so for the kids who have, you know, parents that aren't able to be present when they're home from school, when they're doing their homework, for the kids, like my husband was, you know, in school until 6, 7 p.m. because he had a single mom that was raising him. Um, you know, it's how society is. Like that's a reality. And for those kids, you know, kids' brains, kids' minds are so trusting and they're so easily formed. And um, you know, if they can grasp what I believe to be true, um, then I feel like, you know, what they're being as adults, they'll be more successful. They'll have more opportunities for, you know, a more grounded adulthood. I think what they're experiencing in school right now is a lot of it one-sided. And so for those kids that don't have parents that are communicating with them, you know, creating those conversations about what's right and what's true and what they believe to be true. A lot of these kids are essentially being indoctrinated into um, just kind of following in the footsteps of what they're learning in the classroom. And again, not all teachers are bad, but I do I've experienced teachers that have ulterior motives that, you know, I don't know. Back when I was in school, I went to school through OUSD, through the district I'm representing. And when I was in school, I didn't know my teachers' gender preferences. I didn't know their political affiliations. Yeah, I guess you could guess with one or two of them because they were kind of eccentric or whatever. But truthfully, I felt like my teachers did a really good job of kind of creating that discussion in classrooms and playing a little bit of devil's advocate with topics. Maybe they weren't necessarily a conservative and it didn't matter because you couldn't tell. And
Right.
now I feel like these teachers, a lot of them have this mission to, you know, just turn on the TV station, and that might be a TV station that I wouldn't play at home for the news. Does that make that right or wrong? It's a little biased. You're not really giving kids, in my opinion, you're not giving kids this ability to formulate their
Critically
own.
think.
Yeah, the critical thinking. Thank you. I'm critically tired. You're not giving them critical thinking skills by giving them two sides of a story, right? Um, for example, and then I'll let Jordan talk, but there's a mom who was telling me about her high schooler who experienced, oh, and rewind, this high schooler's parent is a police officer. And in their high school book, uh, in the middle section, 6 pages dedicated, spelling out on the page, FUCK, the police. And, you know, this student, as a child of a police officer, was embarrassed, was offended, and was brave enough to say something in the classroom. And I guess at the time, a police officer had been beheaded. I don't remember that exact story, but that was what I was told. And the student sitting next to the student said, I mean, it should have been your dad that was beheaded, not this other officer, something to that effect.
Wow.
You know, if you're teaching critical thinking skills, why aren't you also putting 6 pages, like, let's call it fair, 6 pages to what police officers have done well over the last, I don't know, 100 plus years?
Yeah.
Um, I think that's pretty biased, and that's yes, it's a part of history, right? Like, the movement in 2020 happened. But I truly believe that without giving, children, students, both sides, it's not fair. It's not fair to their future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And go ahead, Nicole.
No. I go. You go ahead. I want to hear
Well,
what
I
you have to
mean,
say.
that term critical thinking right there, they have weaponized that term. I hear that term used all the time by the left, and they mean a very specific thing by it. I mean, it goes back to critical theory. And when
Yeah.
they say critical, they really do mean you need to evaluate the structures of oppression that are currently subjugating you to having a perpetual lack of power within your society. Sorry, I wane academic sometimes. But
I'll go the other way. It's good.
Because people don't know, Jordan. People, we know, right? Because we've
yeah,
been in this fight. Actually, I'm taking notes. You're just articulating it in such a clear way.
Can you
So
send
it's
me your
helpful.
notes, Nicole?
Yeah, I will. Even people who are in it are, I'm still learning more. And then there are people who are not familiar that these are theories that
yeah,
are
and
taught.
I think everyone should read Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Everyone should read that book because it talks about like the central focus of this, which is very influential in the teachers union. I cannot even emphasize that enough. It's one of the most cited books in education right now, if not the
Wow.
most.
I think it's like they show you your hand.
Yeah, oh
Our
yeah,
most heavily relied upon book is going to be this book from a Marxist communist from Brazil. Like they're not even
yeah,
hiding. It just
no,
is, it's part of what it's on their, when they do their PowerPoints.
yeah.
It's insane. Sorry.
Critical, and also the other term, critical consciousness, is what you need to be aware of, because
Yes.
it's his term is conscientization. There's a Portuguese term for it, but it's conscientization, and it means that you have to develop that critical mindset where you're constantly
Right. Right.
negating, and that word right there, it's tearing down the elements of society that benefit any structure that we currently have, because the whole system in and of itself is
Of
corrupt and
course.
oppressive,
Right.
down to the classroom. And
Mm.
the whole book is about how the teacher is oppressing the student through the banking system, and where you're depositing information into the child's brain, into their consciousness, and how the student has to overthrow that oppression and regain their own authority, their own power over the classroom. So when you see the union pushing for, students to lead this movement, even starting up their GSA clubs, in Glendale Unified, there's a POC club for these kids to lead. That is a Freirean concept where,
What does that stand for?
what's that?
BOC, would you call it?
POC, like a person of
Oh,
color.
people of color.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is, I don't understand how people can um, comfortably say person of color, because it's to me it's no different than colored person,
Right.
and
No, it's
that,
racist.
of course it is, yeah, and the fact that they're weaponizing these children's consciousness in
Right.
order to lead the essentially what I would call the Red Guard. It's a weaponization of young minds because they're so influential. That's why
Mm.
that's why this whole movement is so dangerous, because you're right, it's going after the students, it's getting them while they're young. My professor in school explicitly stated that. He devoted his entire life to implementing Freire in landscape architecture, which is insane. I just
Well,
can't
it's
even emphasize how, now that I'm actually a licensed landscape architect, like this
yeah.
has nothing to do with it. So
No,
No.
Stalin said, give me your children for a few days and I'll give you this. Give me for 4 months and then 4 years and I'll have you, I'll give you a revolutionary,
right,
and you won't even get them back. But it's very ironic that you're saying this because again, at this panel tonight, that what they do with children, just so people like, this is kind of is abstract a little bit what you're talking about. So just so people who are listening understand what they're asking your children in kindergarten and in first grade, and they're helping them keep diaries. And you think how cute, like they have diaries. Like I have my daughter's journal, and we talk about their days. And if they have feelings, we do that.
Yeah.
But they're not asking, like I ask my daughters, like, what was your favorite part of the day? What was a tricky part of your day? Like, what was a challenging part of your day? Like, what was the most exciting, or what was, I ask them like critical thinking questions like that. And I don't want to ask them like, did you have a good day at school? You know, I've read in books, so that's like not good to do. I don't know.
Be specific.
Yes, be more specific. So they're doing that in your school, and they're telling you that they're helping your children journal. But what they're asking them is verbatim. Who offended you today? Who oppressed you today? Who hurt your feelings? Who made you feel excluded today? At what time, during what activity did you feel it wasn't fair? Did you ever feel that someone And they're asking these very pointed, still specific. It's like, as we know, that's what helps their minds develop, these pointed questions, but focusing on these negative aspects, building this victim mentality, because that victim mentality is what is needed. What Jordan is explaining, you need to feel like a victim to hate the systems and the society that you lived in order to be charged enough to want to tear them down. So they start very, very young, asking them these questions in the negative, as opposed to how we try and do it as parents and guardians in the positive, to get them to build up their self-esteem and their confidence and their excitement for school or learning or competition in sports. They do it in this negative way to tear them down, and then to turn them into mini revolutionaries, to tear down the systems that have been oppressing them since kindergarten. Again, subconsciously, to then become their conscious mind. This is not the interview that I thought was going to happen, but I am very grateful. No, I am so grateful.
Knock on doors, donate.
I'm very grateful. But you guys, you know what? I feel very blessed that you guys are leading the charge, that you see what's going on, and that you not only understand it, but that, back to my question like 10 minutes ago that we didn't really answer, is like, you are still fighting this fight. And it's actually because of everything that we're talking about, this great evil that you see, that this horrible, whatever this is, you guys are actually more motivated to fight. And I actually have Jordan is running right now for trustee in Glendale. Madison is on the Orange Unified School District Board. I would actually like to show a clip that was leaked relating to Madison's recall, because if people aren't aware, she has been doing such amazing work. They're trying to recall her, and we have a video of why they are trying to recall, and it brings everything that we have discussed into full circle, why we need to support Madison and candidates like Jordan Henry, and specifically Jordan Henry, in their campaigns, everybody. So hopefully we can tee it up right now. Like a great idea. So this is from the recall campaign, and it's leaked video and audio. I'm going to get that audio. Hold on.
Hit that mute button. There it is.
We are going to get the sound. Hold on one second. You can see it, but you can't hear it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of preface it while we're trying to load it.
Yeah, why don't you just tell us what so that is an actual video that we pulled from the OUSD recall, their own webpage. And it says, these are union members, and we'll let Madison describe that video.
Yeah, so the two of the gentlemen, one of them is the Orange Unified Educators Association president. So he is a teacher here in Orange Unified. and he actually called out OUSD conservative parents that support me as his enemy in the video. And the second gentleman, he is the California Teachers Association representative for, like, the liaison for Orange Unified Educators Association. And he is going into detail about how this is, well, they both kind of talk about how this is a pilot recall, that recalling myself and my colleague Rick Ledesma is the start of other recalls across the nation, not just in California, across the nation. So this is a national issue. And they're saying that if they are successful, this is just the launching point and a kind of like a,
The
I don't know,
blueprint.
like the blueprint, the gift wrap, version of how you can recall conservatives. Yeah, and they talk in detail about how California Teachers Association is sending funds via the political arm of ABC to the OUEA, the Orange Unified Educators Association, and then directly to the recall against me. And we did just, I don't know if you got the video working, but that's kind of the gist of it. But
No,
yes.
I think it's important. I mean, it goes back to, again, what we said in the beginning. They have a plan. They are not just haphazardly showing up at board meetings and yelling, and they have a plan, a strategy that is implemented across multi layers and across not just, vertically, but laterally, like you said. This is a nationwide, when people think like, oh, it's just a school board. No, these candidates like Madison and Jordan that we have here, their positions and what they're able to accomplish when we show up at board meetings and we show them support and we give them to cover, to stand up, to present policies and to take positions that board members we know will not take because they don't have anybody backing them or sending in the emails and the comments and showing up. What you guys are doing has a national effect. This is not just limited to Orange. And what Jordan and Madison have been describing, again, these principles come from a Marxist in Brazil. They are trying to dismantle not just our cities and our counties and our public schools, but truly the state. And then what happens in California, it rolls across the country. And it is, in my opinion, it is an agenda to, just collapse American society and this country as a whole. And of course, we always start with the children. We start with the most vulnerable, the ones that, of course, in California, compulsory education state. So you got to send them to school. The better the school, the more expensive it is, the more federal loans you have to take out from the government, or you can go to the free public schools, which are not free. Let me be nothing but explicitly clear. Your public schools are not free public schools. You are paying for them with your children's health, with your children's lives. And you need to start investing, truly putting your money where your mouth is and the time and the effort. If you are going to send your children to these schools, you have to get involved and you have to support candidates like Jordan. Please, Jordan, will you each give us just both like a procedural update, like where you guys each are in the recall situation, and then Jordan in your election? Give us some dates and goalposts that we're going to hit for you.
Yeah, sure. Our election is March 5th. Vote March 5th.
Okay.
And ballots go out February 5th, so people have a month to vote. And we have knocked on, my district is small because it's trustee areas. So, I have about 50,000 people in this area and, only a handful, about 15% actually vote, something like that.
Wow.
I think it's pretty typical. And so, we simply need to get past a certain threshold. We've knocked on about 4,000 doors. We're going to keep doing that. We're hoping to hit 6,000. And yeah, my name is out there for sure. We have yard signs everywhere in my neighborhood. So if you're in the area, if you live in the area, please help us. We can't have enough canvassers, people to make calls to voters. And obviously contributions, the state union, that's the CTA, they have devoted $100,000 to this election. And that's just the CTA. The Glendale Teachers Association is also contributing to my opponent, and he's obviously raising money on his own. So, we're up against a lot, and we raised great money in like a normal school board election. We have surpassed the expectations. The community has really come through with individual donations. People have followed through with that, and that's been great. But we could always use as much help as we can get to reach every voter possible. So yeah,
How do
March.
we
My
get
website. Yeah, my
Yeah.
website is henry4glendale.com right here.
Okay.
Number 4, and you can sign up to volunteer or just donate there. Anything at all helps. It really does take a community. We've got a core group of about 20 volunteers, and each one of them takes a little slice of what we have to do, our list to knock, and we have really been successful, in my opinion, that way. But we're up against the machine. And I wanted to answer your question from before. It's like, how do you, how do I like basically maintain my composure during all this or whatever? I used to be an atheist, and this has made me realize that I was wrong about God and my relationship with Him and what evil actually is and why Christianity exists, how it developed, why we're here, what our purpose is, and I could get into all of that, but the point is, we're really blessed to be here, to have these challenges, in my opinion, to witness what tyranny actually looks like, especially when it's weaponized through the government. This is a remarkable opportunity, in my opinion. And every day I wake up and I feel that, like, we have the opportunity to fight this and to protect our freedoms, to lead by example, to follow through, to line up our actions with our words, and to show our children what we're capable of. I've made mistakes. I will continue to do that, but I will continue to keep praying for strength, because this whole process has just really reaffirmed my faith. I can't emphasize that enough, and every day has just been a huge blessing for me. I've made so many great friends. I've lost a lot of friends, but I have made up for that with others. So,
wow, I was not expecting you to say that. That's really.
I have to
that's
follow
really
that.
beautiful. I mean, we're born for such a time as this. I feel that. I feel that.
And we follow through or we don't, and then we have to live with that. So, yeah.
Madison, how can we help you? What's going on with the recall?
Wow. Well, I was kind of going to start in the same area that Jordan finished, which is when I get frustrated and angry and hurt by, these people that are just so cruel and evil and venomous. My husband really grounds me and reminds me, we live by biblical principles. We live to follow a God that we believe in, and we have a moral compass because of that. And to hold these folks that are, literally snakes, to that same standard is, he's like, instead of being so angry with them, pity them and pray for them. And so that's what I do on the dais as I sit there getting called every bad name imaginable and a liar and all this stuff. It would be really easy to let that manifest and become part of my mindset. And so I don't work, God works miracles throughout this entire year of torture, I would say. And this whole thing, this whole experience has been just such a closeness. God has just completely blessed this entire time that I've been on the board. When I should be, in a corner rocking myself to sleep, I sincerely feel that I'm being protected and taken care of. When I feel like giving up or quitting, it's not even. Hi, Morna. It's not even an option because I know that I have a job to do. And so I'm at the point with this entire recall where I just accepted, like, I won. I beat my 21-year incumbent by a very, narrow margin of 221
Wow.
votes.
21.
And it was not for the lack of trying. We have 144,000 voters because we are at large in OUSD. And my volunteers and myself, we walked well over 45,000 doors.
Wow.
And we went to schools and passed out flyers at pickup times, which Jordan, I recommend doing. And we just talked to parents because they care. And we just told truth. And again, I campaigned on promises, and I looked people in the eyes and I told them, I am going to protect your children. I am going to give you your parent rights, and I am going to get their curriculum back on track because I believe those are the three most important things right now in our district that are not happening. And
Yeah.
so with this recall, it doesn't shock me because we saw it coming.
Right.
I'm disappointed that it went as far as it did. Unfortunately, I myself went to go get milk for my 4 kids at the grocery store around the corner from my house and stopped because there was a gentleman collecting signatures that was paid by the CTA to collect signatures against me. And I just stood there listening while he spoke to a woman and, told her what she wanted to hear. She asked him, "Oh, why would I sign this?" And he said, "Oh, because, she did, da, da, da." And she said, "Well, is she woke?" And he looked at her and he goes, "Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's woke." And so the woman starts signing, and I'm like, hold on.
Wow.
Wait,
I think I
I'm
saw this
right
video.
here.
You filmed this, right?
I saw that
Yeah,
video.
yeah. And I just
He
said,
called
look,
you woke. He said whatever. And it was interesting because she wouldn't have signed it if you weren't. And that was, wow.
and she asked the right question and he answered it the right way. And, that was his job. Literally, there are paid signature gatherers that do
Yeah.
this for a career. And I spoke to him later and I actually had a really good conversation, and he actually quit because he
Oh,
realized that he was telling mistruths because he was taught that by the recall administrators. Proving that is nearly impossible as a lawyer. I'm sure you could see that as being just like a he said, she said situation. Yeah. But, there were rumors going around about me allowing a special needs student to drown. My colleague apparently had a warrant out for his arrest for a stabbing. Just all these lies that we're told to get people to sign the recall against us. And I have people and when I say constantly, and Jordan, when you get elected, you'll see this. I get like 60, 70 emails a day, either in support or against me, and I read each and every one of them. I respond to as many as I can. But, seeing the folks apologizing for signing this recall, realizing that they made an error in judgment and believed someone without doing the research. But that's just reality of the times we're living in, I guess, where people are willing to sign because they don't want, someone that would let a special needs student drown, or someone that would, oh, I was also apparently bringing pornography into schools was another lie that they told. And so, all that is to say, there's a reason why I'm on this recall ballot, maybe because I have more fight in me, I guess, or longevity, the ability to sustain than someone else that might have been recalled before me. And so being the pilot recall has kind of given me a renewed strength when I normally, I think, would quit and just say, whatever, just recall me.
No, you have to.
You people are crazy.
Right. No, but like,
so,
that's
yeah.
actually a really good perspective. You're like, this is the test. This is the pilot. Like if they win, then they will be emboldened to do this to every one of my conservative warrior brothers and sisters and all of my colleagues.
Well, they already are. I don't know if you heard, they already officially got Joseph Komrosky from down in Temecula Valley on the ballot for Temecula Valley. So they already are trying, it's already happening. The cards are falling, but I'm just hopeful that this is an unsuccessful recall, that we are just working our tails off. And on that line, we are currently walking, knocking, phone calling. We have a website, Protect OUSD, like David, protectousdkids.com. And then on Instagram, It's Madison, same as Jordan, but Madison 4 OUSD is my Instagram tag for my politics. And I don't even like that word. I am not a politician. I'm a mom. They got angry enough to run. But anyway, we are in dire need of volunteers. We are in dire need of people, going out there and placing signs. We have 500 signs, and people are constantly dropping in it. We have a little Google form for addresses. So we are constantly getting requests for delivering signs, which we're willing to do. But, any volunteers for that? The biggest thing is financial, like what Jordan was saying. We are fighting against
Right.
endless pockets of money, and the
And
California
Soros.
Teachers Association and Soros. Yeah. So the California Teachers Association, I think it's Form 460. I think it's what it's called. What the, other
The
side
filing
has
reports.
received, and the filing. It's a lot of money from teachers unions all around Orange County, not just OUEA, Anaheim, Tustin, Westminster.
Wow.
Our own Orange Unified was like 35,000.
They're saying when we're going to do a recall, when one of us, and we're going to identify the next candidate, then we're all going to help each other get rid of that board member in that district, and then we'll help each other. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The unions are unionizing.
The unions are unionizing. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, there were teachers from Orange Unified that reached out to me and said, I am so enraged. My funds, annual fees are going to pay for a recall that I don't believe in. I need help fighting this. And I'm like, get out of the union. What else to tell you?
Leave the union. You can leave a public union and still get all the benefits from it. I did it with my job.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to encourage them to do. But a lot of them are worried about the backlash, and
again, it's a blessing.
kind of outing themselves as conservatives.
You guys, it's too much. It's 2024.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get out.
Just like, look, you're a grown adult, right?
Yeah.
Grown adult. You're an adult.
I think
professional.
so.
You're worried exactly. Who identifies as someone who identifies as an adult, and you're a professional person, and we're still talking in like 2019, 2020 lingo, which is like, I'm scared of what people are going to say. Like, look at where we at in society, that you're actually worried that your colleagues would be mean to you because you stood up for, or had just, even if it wasn't supporting you, it's just like a difference in opinion. I mean, just the fact that you feel that way. It's like when we tell our kids, if you have to lie, it's probably not a good thing. Like, I just told my girls, I don't care what it is. If you don't feel like, if you're going to lie to me about it, I just think that you should think a little bit harder about doing, whatever it is. So, we could.
And then the other donor to them is Planned Parenthood. So Planned Parenthood is heavily backing the recall against me. It's just,
why do you think that is?
Because I've made it very clear that I don't agree with them taking away parental choice, parental involvement with their own students. We haven't seen it firsthand, but we have many teachers and many students who have told our conservative majority about girls getting picked up in chalk buses from high schools around the area in Orange Unified, and leaving campus for a couple hours and coming back, and all the signs of pregnancy were there before, and then just signs of sadness were there after they returned. And so it's unfortunate, and it's not a partnership that I think is essential. I think it's harming kids more than it's helping them. If we're out there preaching about abstinence and even contraceptive solely, I would be a little less inclined to be antagonistic against them, but it's the case. And so I'm pushing for parents to not have peace of our school district, and I want to protect kids in that too.
Wow. I didn't know about that. That's horrible. So, okay. So I'm hearing encourage, so I mean, I'm hearing you guys obviously donate. Go to protectousdkids.com and go to henryforglendale.com, sign up to be a volunteer, donate there, pick up signs, help walk their districts, to give people the truth about these two amazing people and warriors for children and our families, and also be having conversations. And I did want to ask that question. I mean, do you see, are you seeing most teachers have, they've infiltrated, the bad ones, or for lack of a better word, at, 10:20 at night, the bad ones have infiltrated? Or do you see teachers who are reaching out to you, asking you guys for help, either because you're in office or you're going to be in office?
Oh, yeah.
And is that what you're seeing?
Yeah,
Okay,
I have
good.
several teachers who communicate with me about the issues that they face, what they disagree with. They donated to my campaign. We had one teacher who, Ray Shelton. I don't know if you guys have heard of Ray, but he's a gay guy. He was teaching at the district for 25 years. He was getting ready to retire. He absolutely hates what's going on in the schools. Taught fifth grade. Award-winning teacher. He came out at a school board meeting speaking out against trans ideology, and he also brought, like the trans flag, when you put 4 in a row, it resembles a swastika.
Yeah.
Yeah. He brought that to a board meeting while he was a teacher, and he held it up and he spoke out against what was going on in the school board. And the next day he was let go from his classroom, removed from his classroom. Yeah. Fired immediately. Not fired, but put on leave until he retired. So he's currently suing the district. His lawyer is David Pivtrock, if you're familiar with him.
No.
He's a good attorney down here. He is suing on free speech violation currently. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's one teacher. I have several others who are very conservative, and they have helped me with my own messaging and what my platform, how to hone my platform to really support teachers. I would say the majority of them are good. But the majority, I think, are manipulated into silence through fear. So I'm simply trying to address their concerns through my campaign, so they can see that I'm a leader that will support them as teachers and not them as teacher union members. So that's, to me, that's like the fine distinction that I have to, or the balance that I have to walk here.
I actually, when I saw your website, I thought that was every student, wasn't it every student, every parent, every teacher? Is that what it is? And I thought that, say it again.
Has a voice.
Yeah. Has a voice. And I think that that's really important, because like we said earlier, it's all about polarizing people and pitting. Like, it's not parents against we've always worked together. This has always been a collaborative relationship. And that one of like sharing information and working together to figure out what's in the best interest of the child. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I actually thought that was really brilliant. And I think it's important to tell the teachers that if you are here to protect my child and educate my child and help me protect my child and to support my child, I guess is actually the way I would say it. I'm the parent. I will protect my child. But if you want to support me, then we will absolutely always be, there will always be an alliance here, and your voice matters, and we want those voices to be heard. So I thought that was really great messaging. And I think it's great that you guys are working with the teachers. I know it's very late at night, so I want to give you, there's so much to say, but I would like you guys to end the show. Is there any, like, one last thing that you can tell listeners right now before we sign off? Madison, I'll start with you, I guess.
Yeah, so kind of going along what Jordan was saying, it's been such a joy amidst all this stress and chaos, hearing from teachers in our school district in support of me, from all backgrounds. There's, professed atheists, professed Democrats. It doesn't matter. This is not about party lines. This is about kids. And for me, that's the bottom line. That's my hill, I guess you would call it, that I will protect kids and with my last breath. And so it's been such a joy. So I encourage you, if you're watching this and you are a teacher in our school districts, that you would continue to reach out to us, that you would let us know how we can best support you. Let us know that you support us. We appreciate it, and it kind of keeps that fuel in our fire. And I also, just I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm thankful that I've been called to serve in this capacity. It is definitely not easy. But if you are watching this and you're considering serving for your school district, um, it's hard. It's very hard, but I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely taxing on, family time, and dynamics change, but my son, for example, came to our last board meeting a week ago, and he even spoke. And it's amazing to be able to be up there watching your own child, seeing his mom in a spot of somewhat torture, but for the most part, just up there leading and following in what we feel called to do. And so it's been a great opportunity. So if you do have questions about serving in this capacity, I am an open book, and I would love to chat with you about that. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of all from me. I appreciate this time. And Nicole, I wanted to say a special thank you for your help, kind of as a silent but not silent friend in helping me with the parent notification policy. You and your colleagues were just essential in helping, and so selfless. So thank you for helping me take a stand in Orange Unified, and thank you for just the tireless work that you and your team do. It's inspiring. I admire you so much, and I'm very, very humbled to even be here chatting with you and with Jordan on this in this capacity.
No, we will show up, and you guys are doing, you guys are doing the heavy lifting. Like you said, we're behind the scenes. We will show up wherever someone is doing the work and needs the help. We will the Facts Law, Truth Justice team, everyone, Protect Kids, CA, we will be there. If you guys show up and you guys help us, we will be there. So it was easy to do for you guys, because you guys, both of you guys, whatever you need. I know it's late.
Careful
it's
what you say.
it's true, because we each have our own part. And so it's like we wouldn't be there without you, and vice versa. So Jordan, what about you? But thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, you were talking about truth earlier, and I just cannot emphasize how important holding on to the truth really is. If you're Christian, you read the Bible and you'll understand what logos means. And if you're not Christian, I highly recommend you read Marcus Aurelius and what he means by logos. That term comes up all over the place, but it's really that adherence to truth and never compromising it. And people are afraid of the truth. That's what I've realized, especially in a climate like this, where there's so much on the line and you have a lot to lose, or it feels like you have a lot to
Right.
lose. And if you speak a truth in this situation, yes, there are consequences. But if you don't speak truth, if you don't adhere to it, it's worse. Guaranteed, it'll be worse. The fear will then become more fear. So the only thing you can do in the face of fear and lies is really hold on to the truth, whatever it is. If we're talking about, well, like in Glendale Unified, we have a 9th grade textbook that's sex. And it defines sex as something that is on your birth certificate assigned to you at birth. That's in our health book, guys. And we've spent millions of dollars on it. This right here, we have to challenge these things right here. The words written on the page. And if we don't do it, that moment just goes away, and we'll never be able to access that again, the ability to change things for the better, to adhere to truth. And yeah, we're talking about public institutions. These are secular institutions, as they should be, in my opinion. However, if you're afraid to speak your mind, whatever it is, in America, it's gone. The whole enterprise is done.
Yeah.
You have to speak truth in order to continue on with liberalism, with the Constitution. It's all on the line. And I'm sorry I use the word liberalism, but philosophically, that's what I'm talking about.
No,
Yeah.
I love liberalism. I love
Yes.
liberalism. That's why I don't call people that are on the opposite
Right.
side of the bench liberals. I call them
Right.
leftists.
Yeah, I call them
Right.
illiberals.
Oh,
Regressive,
illiberals. Yeah,
regressive
they don't want to
illiberals.
talk about things, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I talk about bias, right? I had to overcome my own biases. I told you I was a Democrat. I had to unlearn years of this stuff. And it took a long time and it took a lot of soul searching. So if anybody is listening to this and is doing that soul searching right now, the best way to overcome those questions and those challenges is just to speak truth.
Yeah.
Others will follow, others will listen. And that means knocking on doors. That means donating to the campaign and having your little name there on the 460 report. That's truth. Okay, you're supporting truth. It is as fundamental as that. So that's really why I'm doing this in my own soul. I just cannot live with I cannot live with compromising on truth. So
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and I everything that you just said, I actually think between those two things is that courage is contagious. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I hear from both of you guys, like from you, Jordan, coming from that background and doing all of that work is so hard and takes courage, and then standing up the way that you have. And Madison, the same for you. Courage is contagious, and you guys just taking the first step. Is this like that CNN video with the scientist?
A naked
But
child's
the kids
gonna
are
come in
cuter.
next.
The kids are
It's just my
cuter.
dog.
Oh, okay. The dog, we'll take the dog. But courage is contagious. I hope that everybody sees that. And these two individuals are facing just such adversity in their own ways, in their own areas, and they are still fighting. And it's because of this adversity, actually, that you guys know you have to keep fighting. And I just am so inspired. I feel so blessed by this whole entire evening. You guys have no idea what you did for me coming
you
on
got
this
cool
show.
dogs, Madison. I like
I am
those dogs.
big dogs.
Yeah.
But Nicole, thank you for having
No.
us, and sorry that my furry
No, that's the
children.
perfect ending. The perfect ending to this to this evening. And I appreciate you guys so much. Keep us posted. We'll put all of your contact info, all your websites, all your dog adoption puppy videos. Will be linked in the caption. And we'll send you guys this so you can share on across your platforms as well. And please don't give up. Keep the faith. Keep going, and we will rise up and we will fight alongside you every step of the way. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Nicole.
you.